Teaching with a translator. That is going to be the topic of this episode of Chi Life. So I mentioned a few vlogs ago that during my time here in Montenegro, I have been teaching some Qigong workshops, amongst other things, and that for those workshops I've had a translator, and that translator has just so happened to be Tihana, who many of you know. She does a lot of the admin work for Long White Cloud Qigong, so lots of you will have emailed her at some point or another. And I thought I would talk a little bit about what it's like for me teaching with a translator. Just because there might be some observations about that are useful in a few different contexts, just in terms of the process of learning and thinking about things in different ways, and then also specifically around teaching and how teaching in different environments, different formats can actually help us to learn a lot. So yeah, teaching with a translator. I also mentioned in the earlier vlog, this was the first time I've taught with a translator in a long time. Because I got stuck in New Zealand for a while, and for a few years I really didn't travel much, and so when teaching in New Zealand I didn't need a translator. Certainly in the past, when I traveled quite a lot from time to time in different places where I was teaching, I would have a translator to communicate in the local language, wherever that might be. But this is the first time in a long time, and I did actually wonder before I taught the workshop. I was like, I wonder how that's going to go. It's been a long time since I've had a translator, and it really wasn't bad. It took all of 5 or 10 minutes before I sort of got back into the rhythm, the swing of having a translator. So some of my insights from teaching with a translator, because I get some. Well, it's a different experience for me teaching with a translator. Obviously, it causes me to do things in some different ways, and then as a result of that, I get some different things out of it. So one thing is the pace that I teach at is different with a translator. And this is probably true of most people working with a translator. I mean, I suppose there might be some people who just teach like they normally would, and hope the translator can keep up. But for me, and I think for most people, it's more a case of speaking, delivering information at a pace that the translator can keep up with easily. And that means slowing things down. It also means breaking things into manageable chunks of information. So one chunk and then a pause, another chunk and then a pause. And so thinking quite clearly about pieces of information, how you can group those together and build one piece of information on another. It also means that I am even more careful in my choice of words. Now, I'm normally reasonably careful in my choice of words when I'm teaching, talking, explaining things. But with a translator, even more careful, because I want to choose the words that are going to convey the specific information, the specific meaning that I want to convey. But I'm also particularly trying to choose words that the translator will be able to translate most easily. And normally that means the simplest word is best. Not always. Sometimes using a more sophisticated word can be good. But it really, for the most part, means really trying to choose as simple a word as possible. It also means that, from time to time, on the fly while teaching, having to come up with alternate simple words to describe the same thing. Because even though I'm trying to keep the words I use simple, sometimes the translator will go, I'm struggling with that one. And so I'll pick another word to help to get that meaning across. And so all this means, a few things come out of that. It means that because there's a different dynamic to the teaching, I need to be more flexible in my delivery, which also means in a way I need to be more flexible, more clear, more structured in my understanding to be able to deliver the information that way. And so it develops my knowledge in a sense, and also my skill as a teacher. It also, some of those skills carry across, not just into situations where I have a translator, but they carry across into other teaching situations or just communication situations as well. Like in terms of word choice, in general, whenever possible, using simpler words is better. it's going to convey the meaning more readily to whoever you teach, even if it's their native language. Again, not always true. There are times using a more sophisticated word will be better, but for the most part, that's true. And so it means I get practice, really specific, structured practice at doing that. So hopefully that makes me better at teaching all sorts of different people. You may also notice that quite often in these vlogs, I can be quite animated. I use my hands a lot, I use facial expressions, I sometimes lean into the camera and away from the camera, I use posture and so on as part of my communication. Now, in case you're wondering, was I always like this? No, I wasn't. It's a learned habit or skill, depending on how you look at it, which has come specifically from things like teaching with a translator, because in addition to the words, using body language, using expression, using hands can give another way for people to understand what's being said beyond just the words. And again, that carries over. It doesn't just apply to teaching with a translator, it applies to other teaching situations as well. And so it gives this richer level of communication. So that's become a habit of using this in all sorts of communication situations, including just talking to a camera. And it's certainly possible to overdo it, but often that's useful. It can help to convey that information a little bit better. So yeah, overall, while teaching with a translator does present a challenge of sorts, I find I enjoy that challenge, and I also get some things out of it as well. Developing my own understanding and developing skills that apply to other situations as well, and habits. A lot of it's habits, habit skills. And I guess to talk about this topic more broadly, the topic of this vlog is teaching with a translator, but we can look at it more broadly. The more different situations you apply the same knowledge and this could be the same practices or so on, each one gives you some different angles, some different perspectives, some different aspect of skill with applying that. And so teaching in many different situations, each brings out some different things as well. Teaching at a big festival with hundreds of people brings out some aspects of delivery, but also some aspects of understanding of the practice themselves and how to convey them, right? Within that context that will then apply to other things as well. Teaching one-on-one develops some different skills and different understanding, different ways of thinking about the practices. Teaching elderly people, teaching young people, teaching in a corporate environment. All of these different environments require thinking about the practices in a different way, communicating them in a different way, and rounds out the understanding. And so I guess one thing, and an insight from this is, and I say this often to people who are on the Long White Cloud Qigong courses or when they're finishing, because something that often happens on the courses, a lot of people do the courses, even though a lot of the courses we run, they're not all instructor courses, some of them are just general courses, but the main courses we run are courses for instructors to learn the practice well enough that they can understand, have a solid base of understanding and experience so that they can teach them. And some people come to those courses specifically wanting to teach, planning to teach, and other people come to those courses actually just wanting to learn for themselves. But quite often by the time they finish the course, they've enjoyed it so much, they just appreciate the knowledge, the understanding, the benefits that they've got so much that they really want to share them with others, and they decide actually they want to teach. And often, at least to begin with, people can be a bit hesitant about starting to teach. They're like, oh, I haven't taught before, and so on. But they really love what they've learned and what they know, and it's just like getting across that first hurdle. And one of the things I often tell people is, actually going and teaching is one of the best ways to keep on learning. Because all the different situations you teach in, and in fact all the different people you teach, will cause you to think about what you're teaching in a different way. It will cause you to think about the practice in a different way. And that will give you a richer understanding, and little by little you'll be able to, it will enrich your own practice, and you'll be able to convey more and richer information to the people that you teach as well. So for anyone who, and again, I don't think everyone should just, no, you don't have to go and teach if you don't want to. And if, legitimately, if you've just started Qigong and, you don't have enough knowledge and experience yet, you shouldn't be teaching. But a lot of people are underestimate their ability to deliver something useful to other people. You don't need to know everything to be able to teach someone something useful. You need to know enough, understand the principles well enough, understand the actual application well enough to teach something useful that's going to help someone. And then in that process, you help them and you also develop yourself more skill, more understanding as well. So anyway, just a few sort of thoughts, insights, observations I thought might be interesting, might be useful. I thought I'd share those with you. If you enjoyed the vlog, please like, comment, subscribe, share, all those good things. And I'll see you on another one soon.